What's up, guys and gals, and welcome back to the Nerd Castle. Today in the world of indie games, we're going to be checking out a title called NADIR. This is a game that's based on Dante's Inferno, where you're going to be rogueliking your way through hell. The art style is absolutely fantastic. The game actually looks really, really good. I was given access to a demo of this game like a year or two ago, actually, one of their very, very early builds. But I held back on showing anything off about it because it felt like really primitive, like you could tell it was still in prototyping phases and they were still figuring out the structure of the game. Well, now that the Steam Festival is here and they've had a good year or so to work on it, I'm happy to say that the structure is finally, like, there. It's getting there. Like, it's starting to come together where you're like, okay, so this is what differentiates the game from other titles of the genre. So anyways, we're going to dive on in, take a look at the game. Hopefully you like it. If after watching this you wanted to try the demo out for yourself, I got a link for you down below in the description. Then on top of that, you can also take a look down there for a link to my Discord and my Twitch stream, just in case you wanted to swing through live and play some video with me. Let's go ahead and start a run. So at the beginning of the game, we got to decide what character we want to play as. This is a card-based game. There is a deck-building aspect to it. It's got kind of like an interesting thing happening, though, and I'll kind of show it to you once we get there. But you don't play this in the typical, like, spend some energy sort of way that you play other games. And so, like, if you're used to the core Slay the Spire gameplay loop, this one breaks off sort of in a different direction. We've only got Joan of Arc right now as a character, and their sin is pride. When I played the last demo, you could play all three characters, but, like, you didn't get any background on them, and you didn't really know what was going on. This time around, it seems like it's not a party-based game anymore. So, like, when I checked out the old demo, you had 3 party members, and each one of them was doing their own thing in a turn-based combat system. This time around, it feels like you pick a character, and then you just kind of, like, go for it, and each character plays a little bit differently. I do think that's actually probably the smarter play when it comes to, like, structurally designing the game. It allows you to make people have, like, a little bit more distinctive an identity, since each one has to play on their own with no support and nobody to pick up their slack. But anyways, let's try it on out. Before you enter NADIR, you will have to find your way to its gates. Make your path to the bottom, but be sure to be ready when the fight comes with the gate guardian, Cerberus. You will encounter enemies that you will have to fight to proceed, but you may also find a friendly merchant or a place to rest. Choose one of the available vents on the map, but remember you cannot go back to higher circles. Okay. So here we are. This is actually NADIR right here, and we can actually shift this around and take a look at the actual depths of hell. We start off at the top right here, and there are branches, and you kind of got to plot which way everything goes. So we can take a fight, and we can drop down to the lower level, or we can take a fight, and then it'll drop us down to a merchant. You can actually go down, like so, and descend into the depths of hell. This is probably where we're going to be fighting Cerberus right here. I do very much like this art style. It's very stark, and it's very high contrast, which I think makes it pop out to the eye and feel very sharp and very sort of like aggressive and threatening and sort of growling, I guess. Let's take our first fight. Alright, so our fight is against the Trial. It's some kind of weird little bubblegum lump monster. So basically, the way that this works, from how I understand it, we have to, so it's going to cost you, basically. So to play a card costs you, but it doesn't cost you your own personal resource. It actually costs you your enemy's resource. And so the enemy will line up what they're going to do on their next turn, and in exchange for flipping one of their cards to the opposite color, you get this effect. So, like, if we play a slash on this red card right here, we will deal that damage, and then it will flip the card over. And so now he has all Sacrum cards, which means that we have to flip a Sacrum card in order to play this and attack over here. Like, largely you want to target their damage cards, so like so. And so he's actually only going to gain rage on his turn, which means that it's going to give him like a +1 to damage for each rage that he has, but he's actually not going to deal any damage this turn, and we've knocked him down to 50% health. So he's just going to sit over here Dragon Ball Z style and just like rage out and get a whole bunch of stacks and apparently practice like his ability to do demonic burps. And then we're still going to have the same spread from last turn. Like, he's just going to continue doing the same thing if we don't mess with his deck, but we kind of have to in order to kill him. So we'll play right there, And hopefully that doesn't flip over. It did flip over into a damage card. But we finished him off, so it's all good. One thing I would recommend is instead of the enemy kind of like... So they've got the basics of combat in, but like the hits and whatnot are sort of lacking in impact right now. Like whenever my character strikes, because we're fighting on a demonic level, you know what I mean? Like this is a battle between supernatural powers. I want to hear things like when I attack that are like "Waking," you know, and like bell tones and things that have like that crushing force to it. Like these are monsters and these are basically like martyrs in the afterlife fighting with one another. And you expect a certain explosive capacity to come out of that. That also extends to like once the sound effects are done, the enemies when they die, they just sort of take the slash and they fade out. I definitely think there should be some sort of like death animation and like screeching and sort of screaming as like these horrible monsters from hell are falling over and being banished down into the depths. There's definitely room for improvement here when it comes to some of the sound design in between like where things are being attacked and where things are being hit. But anyways, at the end of the fight, we get some obels. That's going to be the currency that we use to buy more stuff. We get some XP, and so we can level up and get new things. And then we also get to draw a card at the end of fights. So for right now, we can get a heal. We can get blur, which apparently means that we raise our dodge chance by 50% to the next attack. We can do 15 breaking damage, which means that this is a fantastic card for getting through enemies that have a lot of armor, but it doesn't really inherently deal damage altogether to the character. It's really only for attacking that outer buffer that they have. I think I'm going to take the heal, just because that'll be a nice utility to have on hand. We can now go to another location. I'm going to go to this one right here. We've got to fight against the beggar. I would recommend with that little splash right there where it tells you the name of the monster, they need to put some kind of outline or something like that because they've gone with like two-tone grayscale for like all of the characters in the game. That white text right there, it doesn't pop off of that background quite as sharply as I would like to see it pop. All right, so we can gain some rage. He's got a chance to deal a lot of damage, though, so we're going to need to eliminate some of these damage cards. I'm going to put up some counters so that I hit back when I get hit. That's fine. He can make me weaker. I'm okay with that. We don't have enough Sacrum in order to go after this guy. Let's go ahead and flip this with a Rage card. Now we do have enough Sacrum. However, the risk here is that we're flipping both these blue cards, and they may come up as damage. We don't know what's going to happen there. So I'm going to give it a go. And in fact, it all came up as damage. That's really bad for us. That's probably not going to work out. I do think that the camera shift is very nice, how the whole thing leans back and forth depending on whose turn that is. I do think that that's a nice play with perspective right there that they've managed to get out. And so our armor soaked all the damage. That's good. I don't know if our armor restores itself in between fights, but we need to finish this guy off about as fast as possible. So I'm going to eliminate his principal damage source right there. And he's going to get some armor. I am going to eliminate another damage source. Oh, I can't. Okay, so we'd have to play around with our Sacrum right now if we wanted to get this done. He has 9 health left. I think I'm going to let him deal damage. And just kind of wait and see what I can pull off here. We do get some counters, so that's good. We drew one more card, so we've got a little bit of Valor right there. Let's go ahead and gain some Rage. That's going to flip that over. We can now recover 5 armor and gain Blur. I think I will do that. It gives us a solid dodge chance. Downside is he flipped over all damage cards, so we're going to be leaning pretty heavily on that dodge we just stacked up. We ate the first hit with a 50% chance to dodge, and then we ate the second hit as well. Unfortunately, on the old coin toss, we managed to basically flip heads twice. Luckily, we've got a crushing blow right here. This should finish him off. Oh, he's got 2 health left. All right, we'll finish him right there. There we go. The beggar has been eliminated. Despite how it looked, we did make it out of that fight without taking any damage. Our armor bore the brunt of pretty much all of the attrition that we were going to take with that fight. 100 more obels, a little bit more XP, and another card that we can take a look at. We can go with Blur. What does Revert do? It shuffles the Sacrum Profanum Steles at random. Okay. Righteous Armor. 10 breaking, recover 10 armor. We do feel like we need a little bit more red in our deck. That last fight, we came up with a bunch of cards that were pretty much almost entirely Sacrum. And so, like, I need to get a little bit more Profanum, I guess, in my deck. Let's go ahead for this fight over here on the bottom so that we can go to that Merchant. We're going up against the Lump of Flesh. He does seem kind of lumpy, and his mouth is in a really inconvenient location. what do we have here? So I can deal some damage right here. Our armor does come back in between fights, so that's really good to know. I'm going to go ahead and gain some counter while I try to flip over some of his damage. And then I think we'll wait. We're going to deal some of our damage just with counter for right now. So he put up a little bit of armor. He's going to throw some weak on me. That is going to make my counterattack a little bit weaker if he does end up getting attacks off. I do like the way that you effectively dictate what your enemy's going to do. Like, your actions more or less have all the agency inside the structure of this game. Like, your opponent is not going through a rotation of abilities like he does in Slay the Spire. Like, everything that comes up on their stele is directly your fault. If they end up dealing, 50 damage in one turn, it's because you allowed them to deal 50 damage in one turn. It means that, like, this is a very, very active game where you're deciding what's going to happen next. Whereas, like, with Slay the Spire and games like that, it's sort of reactive, where they're telling you their intent and you're reacting to it. So anyways, there is a little bit of, I guess it depends on your perspective. Some people will say this game is reactive, but I would say that it feels like more or less all of the control is in your hands. You're the both one dealing damage and deciding what the opponent's going to do. Really, you're playing both characters' turns, if you think about it, which is kind of an interesting concept. I'd be curious in how that can be developed further. All right, so we haven't taken any damage. We do need to deal some damage. So I'm going to throw out a little bit of damage right there and stop him from getting some armor. He's flipped that over. We can deal 5 damage, draw a card. So there's a big hit right there. I actually really, really like that little cutscene that just came through. We've got 6 damage about to go out. That's okay. I don't think that's going to be that bad. We still have a lot of armor up, and we've gotten through his armor. So I think as far as our planning goes, we're in solid shape. I do like how the turns are sort of indeterminate in length as well. Like, whereas when you play other card games, you've got like 3 to 5 energy, and you can do a set number of tasks. Whereas in this game, you can kind of combo and flip cards like non-stop to basically have super turns and whatnot, where you basically dump your entire hand, which is kind of a cool idea, I guess. I'm going to recover 5 armor right here. That was not great. I would have preferred it not go like that, but I think I have options still. I don't need to play my heal. I don't think we can burn these cards or do anything with them. What does this little menu do right here? Oh, it gives you a combat log. Nice. Okay, good. I like that. And then what does this do over here? This is just like a tutorial. All right, fair enough. I feel like I've got a solid grasp. Like, listen, I'm an indie game YouTuber, all right? I play about 100 card games a week. I've got this sorted out. They haven't really invented a card game that I can't figure out rapidly at this point. Let's go ahead and we'll deal out 5 damage right there. And then I think we'll finish the fight right there with just a nice little combo. Yeah, that's the big thing, is I'd like to see that just like little fade animation go away, and like a death animation where they get split open and there's like black blood flying through the air, and they're making like hellish sounding disturbing noises while they fall over. I feel like that would really help sort of settle the atmosphere of the game much, much better. We've got 5 piercing. I believe that goes through armor. Yeah, I'll take that. That sounds good. I like damage that's consistent and can be relied upon. We have 500 obels right now, so I think we should probably dip down into this guy right here. It looks like there's pretty much only cards that we can buy at the moment. I was hoping there would be like abilities and there would be sort of like relics and things of that nature. Maybe there will be later on in, but for right now, there's 7 piercing right there. That font right there is going to need to be changed. That's on top of the cards. Hopefully that's just like a placeholder, but the visibility of that is really, really rough. And it's easy to fix, too. All you got to do is put like a little 2-point black outline around it, and you can make it like a custom black outline that's kind of splotchy, or kind of like ink blotty, I guess, to make it look a little bit more in line with sort of the chaos and I guess sort of the feverish nightmare theme that they're going for. Okay. We've got 3 Holy Strike cards. Add them to your hand. They stay in your deck until the end of battle. I don't know what Holy Strike does. We don't really need more Sacrum, though. What we honestly need... What I feel like we need is more or less more Profanum. Like, if I take a look at my deck, what's our split right now? I would like to see some sorting options added over here. so that you can sort by red. You can sort, actually, they could really synopsize your deck, since like having a balanced mix of colors is a really good idea. Like basically they would have like a little red card up here with how many you have, little blue card with how much you have right here, and then like sort by damage, sort by support, sort by debuff, so on and so forth, so that you can pull things around to see what you have. As of right now, it looks like we have 8 Profanum, and it looks like we have 7 Sacrum, actually, so we can probably take on 1 more Sacrum. I would go with Battle Cry just because it's 7 piercing damage, and 7 piercing damage is pretty good considering the amount of armor that the enemy's been stacking thus far. Let's go ahead and we'll kind of drag this down over here. And it looks like we have a choice in 2 combats. Where does that one go? That one descends down to there. I think, like, preferably, I would like for this to go about as far as possible. Like, I want to take every fight I possibly can. I've noted that my success in games like this is largely relegated to how many fights and how many hard fights I take more specifically. Okay, so this guy's a little bit nastier. He's got a lot of piercing damage going out. I'm going to go ahead and bash that damage right there. I'm going to counter that breaking damage. I'm going to flip both these piercings for a lot of damage. And he's going to break my armor for 6. Okay, I think I can live with that. I mean, there is the option right now that we could play a big turn, and we could recover 5 armor. I wouldn't do it because we're maxed out on armor, but the +1 blur might be nice. But let's just let her ride for right now, and we'll see where it comes down. So there goes the 6 damage to our armor, and then they're going to armor back up. Okay, looks good. Looks like we mostly just drew a bunch of buff cards. I'm going to maintain my block for a minute. We can deal damage and draw a card. If we pull Sacrum, we did pull Sacrum, so that's good. He can keep the breaking damage. We'll get rid of the direct damage and keep our counter rocking. And then I'm going to keep increasing my rage because that extra +3 damage I think is going to be really helpful. This is going to be a rough turn for us, but hopefully we've got a bunch of counters stacked up. So we should be hitting this guy back. Yeah, when we get hit right there. And so he should take like a little bit of damage from the exchange. Unfortunately, he regenerated it all back off, so such is life. We'll go ahead and let's get rid of the 5 damage right there. A little bit more damage. A little bit more damage. We haven't taken any damage yet, but we will on this turn. So I'm going to hold on to the healing card, and I'm going to leave the Steles exactly where they're at so that I can double flip 2 of the Steles and heal off some of these boo-boo wounds that I've been accumulating. I'm bleeding a little bit more than I'm comfortable with, which is especially shocking because, like, I'm a disembodied skeleton on fire. So really, the process of bleeding is a bit more complicated than you'd think it would be. All right, so we will heal ourselves up. We've got 5 damage to rock. That should be enough to end this guy. 100 obels, 200 experience, and a big old fistful of cards. We've got 5 breaking, 1 weak. We've got cut sinews. That puts poison on them. I like that idea. Yeah, let's do a poisoner's deck. I may be, like, kind of stacking things a little bit too aggressively right now, but I want it. Oh, we actually can't go back around to get to that little edifice right there. Okay. An old chest, what might be locked inside? Take your spoils. I have no clue what that is. What was that? Well, I don't know what I picked up, okay? I have no clue what I just acquired. It said that I found something inside of a chest, but from tooling around in my inventory, it does not appear to me as though we picked up a new card or anything of the sort that I can tell. Then again, none of the other menus appear to be sort of elucidating what just happened. So I don't know. Maybe it's an unimplemented mechanic thus far? Not sure. Anything that I would say at this point I think is going to be purely conjecture. So we'll just keep on trucking. Oh, it's in combat with me. There we go. So I guess there we go. The question has been answered. It's a Spirit of Wrath. It increases our starting hand by 2. That's really, really strong, actually. That allows us to have a very big opener. That allows us to basically front load our top deck really, really hard. All right, so we can do 7 piercing damage. I would suggest we do that first, since it's going to recycle all the steles and we have no clue what's going to happen. We will deal 5 damage. I don't know if it just flips steles randomly. Let's go ahead and we'll deal some damage right there. He's got 1 bleeding, 4 damage, 2 bleeding. Yeah, I got a bad feeling that this guy's going to stack me up real bad. There's a big hit right there. I assume that was a crit because you get that zoom in kind of mini animation. He doesn't have any armor, so really dealing breaking damage right now doesn't feel that appealing to me. Maybe I'll try to get him to drop a bleed, though. Yeah, that's fine. I'll take that. Okay, we are now bleeding. We're only losing 2 health, though, so I don't think it'll be that bad. I can recover armor right now with that big, massive card that we just dropped. I'm going to take another counter. Oh, is it each time I play a card I take that bleeding damage? Okay, fair enough. I don't know if we're going to be able to finish this guy right here. But it's possible. I think we're going to be sort of like heavily reliant on Sacrum on the next turn. He's going to put another 3 bleed on me, but it's okay. I've poisoned him up. Let the word be spread. Oh, he just got critted. Ow! All of my armor, but the counter from that crit finished him off. All right. I don't know if there's anything that I really want here. Revelation is nice for drawing more cards. I'll probably take that. Never hurts to have the ability to kind of add a few more things to your hand and figure out what you want to do. Camera's getting a little cramped, so let me rotate it a little bit more upright for you. There you go. All right, so we are inside that building right there. It looks like we've got a shop up next. Let's go for the shop. I like the idea of dealing 5 damage and drawing a card. I'll take that for sure. What does Armor Smith do? Gain armor points equal to the Armor Smith value at the start of your turn. The value then falls by 1. Gotcha. I don't have enough money for pretty much anything else, so I guess we'll keep on going. I am going to push... Well, I guess we don't really have many ways to go. I can take that fight, then down to there. Let's take this one. I think we get more fights this way. So this is the Gunnery Demon. Oh, yeah, dude. He's a big old blobby guy. Does he have, like, an IV bag strapped to the side of his head? I don't know what he is, all right, but he's creepy looking. Let's go ahead, and we are going to... He's got a lot of armor. Let's go ahead and break it. There's 8 damage right there. I do have some cards left to play with, so I will randomly shuffle all the cards real fast. We'll get another 5 damage off right there. We'll get some counter. We'll gain some rage. And yeah, I think that works for me. I think that was actually a pretty solid opening turn. We got a bunch of damage off. Like, we got 7 to his actual physical self, and we got about 15 done to his armor. So, a pretty good opener. Like, a solid salvo for the beginning of the game. I'm pretty sure this little dude is giving me 2 more cards every single turn instead of just the starting hand. And it's working out pretty good. Let's bash. We have all reds right now. That's okay, though. Let's draw some cards. We're going to slash. We're going to deal damage and draw a card. I'm going to get rid of his damage right there, but he got more damage. Big crit right there. I'll take it. So there's 20 damage. Can you really die in hell? Well, we're about to test the hypothetical, my friend. Come with me. We're going out on an adventure here. I would like to heal, so I think I will, because our damage appears to be retained in between fights. and then we'll finally let him take a turn. I do think there is the potential with this game to really have the opportunity to make basically infinitely refreshing decks if you build carefully enough, which is actually, I think, a pitfall they're going to have to watch out for. There are a lot of draw things right now, and I think that if you explicitly focus on draw cards, since you're unlimited by mana, and you make sure that you have an equal amount of draw cards both in Sacrum and Profanum, red and blue, I think it's definitely plausible from what I've seen so far. Like, I'm already starting to feel like my turns are getting longer and longer, and so, like, I feel like you add, like, 2 or 3 more draw cards that also have some other effect, and you may end up with some goodies here. Let's go ahead and flip some cards. We'll deal some poison. I would like to retain some of my armor, so we'll get a little bit back. We'll go with some piercing damage. I don't think we're going to be able to finish him. I think the arrows are just what it's flipped to. That's pretty much it. It's just telling you whether it's on red or on blue. And I think the both sides are the same, no matter what. So I think there's also like a memory component here. I haven't really been paying attention altogether that well. But if I flip this guy, does it go back to damage? It does. Okay, so like basically both sides of the stele are fixed. And I don't know how I didn't notice that while I was test playing the game earlier, but, you know, a lot of information, a lot of visual spectacle to take in. That's probably why, but it's fixed. But he bled to death, so we're all good. We don't have to worry about much. This is NADIR. I hope you guys liked it. My name is Splattercat. I sift through the pile to find what's worthwhile in the world of indie games every single day, so you don't have to. Ooh, 30 damage. Yeah, I'll take that. This is NADIR. Hopefully you guys enjoyed what you saw. So I've been playing NADIR demos for a little bit now, and I do think that this is the best one yet. There's obvious areas for improvement, I think, with both the audio-visual part of the game. I think that a number of things could be improved just with regards to, like, the impact of hits, the noise that you expect from kind of the clamor of battle. I think the music could be a tiny bit louder. I do think that the game could do a better job with some of the character sprites as well, for example, with, like, dodges and things of that nature, and the way the camera pans and zooms in when things are taking place to make stuff feel much more action-like in the midst of kind of a turn-based card game. But I will say that this is the most structured version of the game that I've seen so far, and I do think that it's starting to find its own personality in what is an absolute sea of card games. Like, I'm not going to nitpick too hard because this is a demo, and the point of these demos is to collect feedback, and I feel like I've done that pretty well throughout the course of the video, and in talking about everything that's jumped out at me with my initial impressions. But I will say that the amount of improvement between this demo and the last one I played is pretty large. Like, you guys won't know that because the last demo was a very private thing that they only gave out to a couple of people. But the last demo had a really cool art style, but it was like Slay the Spire in hell. It didn't really have its own presence. It, like, didn't know its own existence yet, basically. Whereas this new Stele variable, you choose what the enemy does with your turn idea, I think is promising in a number of ways. There's a lot of cool status effects, and there's a lot of cool mechanics that you could tie to the Stele swapping system, up to and including fourth wall breaking kind of stuff, much like how Inscription did, in order to drag people into the game and make it more immersive. And that's honestly exactly the sort of thing that I'm hoping for and expecting from the game. And honestly, that's what I would expect the devil to do inside his own realm. You know, the devil lives in hell. This is his realm. He controls all the variables. So why wouldn't he just change reality in order to make your journey harder and protect himself? You know, he holds all the cards here. Not trying to be punny or whatever, but it would make sense from a thematic direction. So anyways, my name is Splattercat. I sift through the pile to find what's worthwhile in the world of indie games every single day, so you don't have to. Today, we had a rough cut demo of NADIR. Tomorrow, we will very likely have something else. Thank you for hanging out. Leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it, and I'll see you all next time. Bye, everybody.